Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Smart Home Insider. You've got me, your host, as always, Andrew O'Hara, and joining me this week, it's been a hot second since you've been here, but I'm so happy that you are back. It is Jen Tuohy from The Verge. We're going to talk all the smart home stuff. Thank you, Jen. I mean, I guess we saw each other for about 3.5 seconds at CES. That was probably the last time.
Fleeting. Yes, I think we were at the Akara event, and you whizzed past me.
Yep.
But it's great to see you again, and lovely to be here in the shiny new podcast with a new name. I was very excited when I heard. I was not expecting it. I was waiting for Apple Home Insider, and then you're just like, smart home. I was like, oh, why didn't I guess that? Because it's great, because with Matter and everything, Apple Home has become much broader, and you've already on the podcast over the last few months been bringing in more products that you hadn't previously covered because of Matter. And so it's your name change is somewhat synonymous with what seems to be happening with the smart home, in that it's getting broader and more mainstream. So I'm excited to see how it goes and to be here on the Smart Home Insider.
Yeah, that was the goal. I mean, obviously, the HomeKit name had gone away, and we talked a lot about doing Apple Home Insider. We talked about some other possible names, some twists on like Apple Insider verbiage, and this one kind of just like stuck out to me the most. And I think it allows us to cover more stuff, but still from that Apple slant. So
right,
I'm excited.
It does help to have that focus, because as someone who covers all the smart homes, it's huge.
It's getting to be a lot.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you've seen it obviously with the Matter bringing all of this into Apple Home. But yeah, there's a lot here. It's great. I mean, it's a healthy space. There's a lot of really interesting innovations and developments, and not so good developments, but there's a lot to cover, which keeps us busy.
Oh, it sure does. I mean, it has been a crazy time, because we had the Apple event, Apple Experience, a couple weeks ago or whatever. Personally, in my life, it was kind of not so great timing, right? So I landed from New York back in Ohio, and I had taken an Uber to the airport, and I was like, oh man, it's going to be a long Uber back home. Like, why don't I, my grandma was at like a nursing home. Like, I'll drive like in the Uber to the nursing home. It's like halfway. Then my wife can meet me there with the kids. We'll go say hi to my grandma and then go home. And she had been battling cancer and stuff for a while, so she had not been like feeling the greatest, but I hadn't seen her in like a week. So we went to the nursing home, we saw her, we had the kids and everything. We leave. We didn't make it home before we got the call that she had passed away. That was the Thursday night that I got home from the Apple event. So that happens like that night. And then since then it has been family in town and calling hours and funeral service, and all of that was taking place, late last week, when Apple decided to when do they do a Wednesday launch of things? Apparently the week that we're doing my grandma's calling hours and funeral and everything. So it's been just everything. It's been like emotional and exhausting. Like I turned on the camera to watch the video, or get the video going here for this podcast. I'm like, oh my God, I look so tired. What is wrong with my face? So I was
thinking how good you're looking though. Have you had a haircut? The haircut.
I mean,
good.
I did get a haircut, but it was again right before the Apple event. So it was like timing wise, it worked out. But I do have shorter hair a little bit.
Yeah. I like it.
It's been like that, and we've been covering all the Apple stuff. The launching, and then we've got Sonos is launching things, and we got all sorts of other stuff in the news. But yeah, time goes on. We have things to do.
You should be grateful that they did not release the HomePod mini screen thing this spring, just because then that would have just been too much. There's the silver lining as well. We're still waiting for that thing. I'm sure we'll talk about that more.
Right.
But that was originally what everyone was saying, like it would be this spring. That's what we'd been waiting for. So, but yeah, it seemed pretty clear that once it turned into an experience rather than an event, that we weren't going to be getting anything too exciting and new, except for I'm not a computer girl, but I am excited about the Neo, I have to say. I'm very excited about the Neo. Mainly because I
love
have
it.
a son about to go to college who had already asked for a MacBook. And I was like, ugh. And it's like, ooh, $500, I can do that. So yeah,
The price point is very nice. I know a lot of teachers. I have family members that are teachers, and their stuff is blowing up, like their communities and Facebook groups of like, this is amazing for students. $500 for a Mac. Like, I'm getting literally emails from people who are like, hey, what do you think of the new Neo? Do you think my kid just asked for a Chromebook, but I see no reason not to get him this MacBook Neo instead? I'm like, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, definitely for a Chromebook. My cousin texted me, and her daughter is 16 and needs a new computer. And she sent me a link, and it was an Amazon link to a MacBook Pro and 15-inch. And she's like, is it okay to buy this off Amazon? Like, does that void the warranties or anything? I was like, oh, yeah. No, I said, no, it's fine. You're fine. But don't spend $1,400 on a MacBook Pro for your 16-year-old. Buy this one. Because unless she's doing some like crazy video editing, which is entirely possible, she's very creative, she does not need a MacBook Pro. So it's great to have this option out there, and I'm very excited. I haven't actually done a dive into any of it because the Verge crew is on it, so they don't need me. But does it have a Thread radio?
The Neo? No,
has anyone
I don't believe so.
No.
No, it doesn't, because I don't think it has Apple's N1 chip. Like the M5 MacBook
because it uses
Air,
the iPhone chip.
I think might. Yeah, so the MacBook Neo does not, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but I figured, you never know, especially as they have been putting it in most things now. So
I mean, we got it in the new iPad Air. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. I did see that. So that's exciting. Seeing more adoption there with Thread, but there's still, and I'm actually in the middle of writing a piece which will probably come out around the same time as this, about some of the issues we're still seeing with Thread devices. And really a lot of it comes down to infrastructure and also the way the platforms are implementing support for Matter over Thread devices. And I'm really wanting to see a more concerted effort from Apple here, because they're the sort of driving force behind Thread. Google and Apple are the driving force behind having Thread in the Matter standard. And, Apple's had Thread for a long time. Google's had Thread for a long time. And now that it's mainstream or going mainstream, they really need to put their heft behind making sure this all works. It can't just be left to companies like IKEA who've been struggling with this. There's got to be... This is a Matter is a big group moment, right? It was all this kumbaya, we're all coming together to work together, and that seems to have stalled a little bit as companies focus more on what's best for them and not what's best for the standard, which was always the fear. That was always the fear of a standard like this, and that is what happens with standards. But Apple and Google are the ones that have the power here, and they really need to use it.
That is true.
Bit of a tangent, sorry.
No, it's fine, because it does go into a little bit into kind of what I had written down first in notes, because I recently were working on a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I feel like weather's getting nicer, and now we're all like motivated to do things. So I had kind of torn apart our bunny hutch. So it's an entire custom piece of furniture that my grandfather and I had built, walnut top, whitewash sides, and integrated bunny cages on the bottom. And we got new bunnies a while ago, years ago now, 4 or 5 years maybe, and they are not as clean as our other bunnies were. And they have made the cage a mess. So it needed some rebuilding. Also, I do have smart lights integrated into the back, just saying. But anyway,
nice.
I do have I had some cleaning to do. So I'm like ripping out the wire on the bottom and scraping down sides and just like cleaning it all up, making sure nothing is going to smell, anything like that, and fixing a couple areas that this needed fixed. And when I was at Lowe's to buy some supplies, I saw a massive display right up front. There were Matter ceiling fans like being hyped up. And I had never seen that before in a big box store because one, every person I've talked to kind of like internally at Lowe's and Home Depot, they seem to almost not care. I mean, Home Depot has their whole hub space brand and they have no matter. It is so backwards. I've talked to like people who are like internally developing some of these and they had like been pushing for some, matter things and all this stuff. And it just seems to go in one ear and out the other with big box. Like they don't care. And when I was just walking down the aisle and just saw a whole pile of these fans that were Matter certified, Wi-Fi, like out of the box.
Are these the Hunter Douglas ones? Not Hunter Douglas. The ones that were at CES.
No, they weren't. Oh. And honestly, that's what I thought made them even crazier. I had never heard of this brand, but the one that I saw was
it Minka? What is it?
It is Altitude Bokeh 2. That was the fan. And I think Altitude is the brand, but I had never heard of it. But it's the Bokeh 2 52-inch matte black, dark brown blades with an LED light in there and Matter certified for $190.
Now that's great to see that. And when you say they were pushing that it was Matter, like were there like logos and like this is Matter, or was it like this works with Apple Home, Google Home? Like how was it? Because that sales point is really key and really interesting because we haven't seen it much into how these big box stores are promoting or pushing this. I haven't been into an IKEA. I want to go in and see how they've got it for their products. But yeah, how did it look? Describe it.
Okay, so the box is pretty simple and it just shows like the Altitude, the Bokeh 2 52-inch, a picture of the ceiling fan, and in the lower right-hand corner, it says, it shows a picture of a remote control that's included, white color selectable LED, and then there's another box with like a color around it that says control with a remote or app. And there's a big Matter logo, the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth logos, and then underneath that in smaller print, it lists works with Apple Home, Google Home, and the Amazon A word. All those are listed. They don't even show the logos for those three. They were just showing Matter and their names. And then there was just big signage from like Lowe's of like smart fans. So Lowe's itself wasn't like pushing Matter at all, but they were pushing like smart fans. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. Because there aren't that many products in stores that you see with a Matter logo on. I mean, I would have thought maybe like the quick set lock you might see in the Home Depot or a Lowe's, the new one that has Matter. But yeah, in general, or Apple stores, you'll see a few, but in actual like general stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, yeah, that's not something I've seen. Although I'm going to go into my local Lowe's and see what I can see now. That's very exciting, I think, and it's good to see that they felt confident that just using the Matter logo and listing the names was enough. Because one of the things I've been concerned about with this and sort of helping people understand what they can do with Matter is when there's a Matter logo and then Apple Home logo, Alexa logo, Amazon A logo. People are like, do I have to choose one of those? Like it puts Matter in as almost like another option rather than one that can work with everything. And that messaging is kind of key, that the idea that Matter gets you all of these, not you have to pick from these. And that's a hard thing to convey because the companies have trained consumers that are interested in smart home to look for the works with badges. And I've spoken to a lot of companies about this, and they say, for now, we feel like we have to have all of them. Or if I'm sitting next to a product, if I'm a quick set lock and I just have a Matter logo and I'm sitting next to a Schlage lock and it has Apple Home, Google Home, Amazon, Samsung, then I feel I have the concern that they're going to go with the Schlage because of that, not realizing that Matter includes all of that. So yeah, that's a difficult thing to sort of push into the consumer space, especially the big box stores, mass market. So yeah, that's interesting. We'll see how they do. Are you going to get one? I could use a new ceiling fan.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, price point honestly isn't bad.
Not bad. No, that's about how much this one I have here. I got 3 for my upstairs. They're connected, but they are not they're connected. They just use a remote, and I use a Bond bridge to connect them into my smart home, which is very unreliable. I don't know if it's the bridge or my fans, but I've not been a big fan of the fan from that perspective. I would love to have something that was more natively integrated. Speaking of, I do have a big ass fan, and that has Matter, which it got updated a little while ago. It was very spotty at first, and they improved it, and it's great. So I can control it through Apple Home or any of the other platforms. And yeah, it's a ceiling fan with light, especially, is one of those kind of entry points, I think, for smart home and smart lighting, because their remotes are kind of fiddly. Then lots of people have ceiling fans, and often replace them because they don't seem to last that long, I've noticed. So yeah, that's really interesting. I'm going to look up that company.
Yeah, and I think the marketing has been such a weird point, and I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Chris Lepre from a CSA, but when I was trying to kind of pin them down a little bit on this, like, what is the plan for the marketing? Because are you trying to educate people about Matter, or you just, and I think their kind of maybe feeling was that the Matter branding essentially would more or less fade away, and you still would just have all the works with ones, but it would be easier on the companies to implement. So they'd be able just to add Matter and it would work, versus advertising Matter. And then people knowing that it would work. Because that seems like the easier way. Because then they still like someone goes, I don't have a Matter ecosystem. I have an Apple Home ecosystem, or I use the Amazon speakers. So you want those words explicitly on the box, versus just making it, well, okay, this works with Matter, so will it work with and having to, that seems like a lot of education that no one really wants to do. Plus you have the problem of companies like Apple that aren't like, they say, oh, we support Matter, but okay, what exact devices or what version? Like, it's a little more vague. So
I know.
We'll have to see.
I think the downside of the badges, though, is that they do mean something different as well. So you can support Matter and support Apple Home. Like, you could be a HomeKit device. Yeah. You can support Matter and support Amazon A through the cloud, as opposed to using a Matter controller. So it's still so complicated. I think ultimately it would. I'm team Matter badge. Get rid of the rest, because also the boxes. I mean, I can't hold that one up. I can't hold it.
I was literally just thinking about the same thing of the one I have on my desk. Yeah.
It has lots of badges, but I can't show it to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 on the front. And it doesn't actually have a Matter logo. But that's hilarious.
I think I can show the one I have on my desk. I think I can show Tuesday. So everyone go to the YouTube channel on Tuesday.
That's funny. It doesn't say Matter. Oh, this one does. Okay. Now this is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 badges. It's got Matter, built-on Thread, Apple Home, Samsung SmartThings, Home Assistant, and Google Home. I mean, it takes up half the box. It's a lot. Anyway, this one I can't show till next month. So. Anyway, yes.
Let's move on, because I want to ask your opinion here. I feel like you're going to have some good perspective on this, but Wired just came out with a report. Reese Rogers has been using the Amazon A-Word Plus for a while now. I guess like more than a month on the 15-inch screen. This is like the quote from the article, but I've concluded that Amazon A-Word Plus simply doesn't work well. It maneuvers like an unpredictable toddler, smashing around and half completing tasks. It felt like interacting with a synthetic bridge troll, haranguing me until I said the magic combination of words. The AI assistant can be so persnickety that I let out an exasperated sigh at least once during every interaction in my kitchen as I trudged over to the remote or touchscreen in resignation to finish something that Amazon A-Word Plus struggled to accomplish. I have not been able to test these. I have not added a new Amazon product because I was trying to get early access to this, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to bother with it at this point, because reviews kept coming out of not great, and they slowed things and delayed things. And this is why we see Apple kind of unofficially, internally delaying its next generation AI assistant until, the fall, which we're going to get into in a moment. But yeah, to me, this is obviously what Apple is also going through here, but Amazon is doing it publicly, and they're taking a lot of heat for it. So they're first, they're quicker than Apple is, but this is not the first report of this that I have seen.
So two things. First, the Apple Amazon thing. I think whilst Siri and A launched very much at the same time, A was always more innovative and we saw much more that you could do with A.
It was easier to do things.
Easier to use, had far more capabilities, and has very rapidly expanded into a lot of different places and a lot of different skills. Maybe 80% of which were actually pointless and useless, but 20% were fun and worked well. Actually, just a short plug, I just finished recording an episode of Verge history, which is one of the Verge's new podcasts, and we dive really deep into the origins of A and the first Echo, sort of trying to understand, like, was it a success? Why was it a success? What did it do that was different and interesting? And so listen out for that. It'll be published in the next couple of weeks. But when you look at that from the historical perspective, it was groundbreaking what A and the Echo could do. And fast forward 10 years, and the new A doesn't do a lot of that and hasn't got good at what they've promised it would be able to do. The more agentic AI, but they have everything in place. They have the tools here. They have the hardware. The hardware is good. I think he even talks about the hardware being good. And I think they're doing all of their experimenting and learning in public, whereas Apple is probably doing it all in private, and will only release it when they think it's perfect, which means I don't know we're ever going to see it, because this type of product needs to be in the real world to get better. Amazon has been iterating on A+ it's almost a year now since it launched, although very small rollout initially. And it has got significantly better at things. It's still not great. So just to finish that thought, this is something that Apple traditionally does, right? Waits for everyone else to do it well and then comes out and does it even better, in theory. That's kind of the MO. I don't know that AI is something that's going to work that way. It's not the same as an iPhone or a HomePod speaker, or, it's not a fixed thing. It's going to constantly evolve. And whenever they do come out with the improved Siri, it's definitely going to be worse than what is out there today. It's going to be worse than Gemini Assistant, and it's going to be worse than A+, because they have learned so much from just being in the real world. And that's what, these AI models really need. So I don't think we're going to see... I like the idea. Yeah, Apple's just going to come in and blow everyone out of the water with an amazing Siri. That is not going to happen. I can guarantee it. Sorry. But on this article, I thought it was fun. I empathize with a lot of their issues. However, he wasn't using... Is it Reese, a he or she? Sorry, I'm not sure. They weren't using...
I've heard it as a he, but I don't know.
Okay. Weren't using it as a smart home control device at all. They really focused on some of the core things that A can do, like what has always been able to, like play music. The other interesting point is using Show 15. And that is a really different experience from using any of the other Amazon devices, because a Show 15 is also a TV. It's a Fire TV. And he ran into some issues here with getting it to play on his show. And that is something I've seen because frustratingly, the Fire TV interface is not something that A Plus can interface with, because it's like two separate things inside. So you've got the voice assistant that's running like on the smart speaker, like you would have in an Echo or an Echo Show 8. And then you've got a Fire TV interface. So it's almost like it's got a Fire TV stick in the back of it, because it's separate. You can't use touch on a lot of the Fire TV interface. You have to use the remote. So it's a slightly different experience on the 15 than you're going to have on any of the others, apart from the 21, which is the same. They're both, those two are designed as TVs. So that's, and also he kept using YouTube, and there is no native YouTube on any Echo shows. There's YouTube TV on the Fire TV on the 15 and the 21, but you've never been able to use native YouTube. So that was never going to work. You can use YouTube Music. So I think he was using that at one point. But yeah, I can see where his issues came. And I'm not saying it's his fault, because the whole point of A Plus is it's supposed to be smarter and help you figure through these things. And that is where, in my experience, it has really failed. There are definite improvements with A Plus. The conversational element is better. It understands you better. You don't have to have precise nomenclature. You can and you can pause, but it isn't proactive enough. Like if I ask it a question about like, why is this smart plug not working? Or what, can you help me set up this thermostat? Things that they kind of promised early on that it would be able to do for the smart home, like be much more of a partner rather than just a command and control system, hasn't come true yet. They say they're still working on it. When we went to the Amazon event, the last one they had, which I want to say was in September. Yeah. They did show me a preview demo of how you're going to be able to use A Plus to set up a device when you get it, and it'll go through the whole process for you, so you don't need to do most of it. And that kind of stuff would be great, but it's not here yet. And there's just an awful lot of that. And this goes to my point about how I don't know that Siri is going to come running out of the gates being brilliant, because there's a lot that they're expecting these artificial intelligent assistants to do, and being able to make everything work well is a real challenge, as Amazon has proven. But yeah, it is not yet where it should be. And what's frustrating for me about it is it's often worse than where it was. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you've used a device like an Amazon Echo in your home for years and it suddenly doesn't work the way you're used to. But there's a lot about the agentic side that I just don't personally, I'm not that interested in. I don't need a personal assistant to order me an Uber. It's very easy to do that on my phone. I don't want ChatGPT in my kitchen. That's sort of what they're pushing towards now, like away from the kind of home assistant and more to the personal assistant. And that shift hasn't been sitting that well for me. And I think a lot of users who are used to using A for what they've always used it for, and now it's suddenly piping up and saying, I can help you, do your homework, or I can help you craft that report, and I could help you plan your grandmother's funeral. I mean, I don't want it to do those things for me. That's not what I have it for. I want it to run my smart home. They did just release a sassy Alexa, which I am quite excited to try. I didn't get it to be super rude to me yet. It just came out on Friday. So I think a week ago, they announced new personalities for the voice assistant, because one of the biggest complaints is that it is too chatty. So you ask a question, like I will say, add bananas to my shopping list. And I actually wrote a whole piece about why I've switched. I went back to Siri to use my voices to my shopping list instead of A, because I got so irritated with it. And it would say, got some banana-y goodness in your shopping list. Are you going to be whipping up some banana
I hate that.
surprise. And I'm like, no, go away, you horrible person. Or computer. I don't want
I don't need it
that.
to validate my decisions to buy.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. Bananas are super healthy and they give you lots
Yeah,
of vitamins. I've
that's
added
the
them to
type
your
of
list
food.
for you. What are you
I
planning to make with them?
hate
And it's like,
that.
shut up. Just
Yep. And I do say that frequently, shut up. So now you can turn on a brief mode. So apparently that's more akin to the old one. I haven't tried those ones out yet. I went straight for sassy. Brief mode, and then there's like 5 in total. And then the sassy they just released last week. You have to enable like a content, you have to go through a content warning to enable it, because apparently it will swear, or it will seem to swear. I don't know. It's a bit unclear. But I haven't been able to do that yet. And it just kind of jokes with you a little bit more. So far, I haven't got it to do much. It did make me laugh once, though. So maybe that was good.
Well, I think Apple's strategy, I know you're anticipating a worse version of Apple's Assistant, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to release it, but with way, way more guardrails. And that's, to me, that's been always their strategy, because they came out with, like, Amazon, when they did the smart home stuff, they were like, yeah, anyone can do literally anything and get a Works with Amazon badge. And all you have to do is like apply for it and give us $100, like something
and
like that.
None of it worked.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like the problem, where Apple was like, you literally need to use a chip from us that you buy and then get certified, and it's expensive. And then we saw this super slow rollout, but then it was like secure, and a lot of stuff worked really well and reliably, and you had like those benefits. So I think that's what we're going to see, with these new, assistants. Apple's is going to be better than the version of it we have now and do much more, but it's also going to be very limited in comparison to what Amazon or Google may be trying to do.
Yeah, well, and maybe picking a lane like that is worth doing. Like, if they just make it good for the smart home, that would be great. But I don't feel like that's their number one priority. So
I honestly think like it is. Like, maybe we're just because we're reading tea leaves, but it seems like the smart home in general is like where this thing is angled towards. Not to mention like all the extra rumors on future smart home hardware from Apple, which I think is a good transition to a little bit more information on Apple's smart home products, because we had 2 kind of reports coming out this week. We had, I think it was this week, but Gurman was really pushing that stuff had been delayed. We had Kasutami, like the leaker on Twitter. Now Gurman is backing them up, saying that, yeah, not only is the smart home delayed, but Apple's HomePod as well as new Apple TV are delayed, along with the smart home speaker situation. So kind of what we expected. Apple is like really putting all of these into that same basket of like needing that next generation assistant. Without that one piece, all of this hardware has to get shelved for the time being, which is such a huge bummer, because I really wanted a new HomePod and a new Apple TV and stuff. But I mean, you see what Amazon, just like you said, is working through, like, oh, it's a TV, but also has a smart assistant built in, and the weird things. Like, I think Apple's going to build its next gen assistant much deeper into Apple TVs, and you're going to have slightly different experiences between HomePod, Apple TV, and the smart display. But I think it's going to be much more deeply and seamlessly integrated. But now Gurman as well as Kasutami are saying it's fall. Fall is when these are all happening. We also got from Gurman, I believe, doubling down on a couple new. Oh no, this is Kasutami. I can't keep all these different things straight. But they're saying that the both these devices, like the new HomePod and the smart display, are going to have like a watchOS style UI with a bunch of little round icons that you can choose to launch them, and it also will have like a MagSafe wall mount. So I'm very interested in how this whole thing is going to work out, of like what Apple's approach to having you hardwire something into your wall could be. But yeah, it sounds like it's going. I could see that though. Like, I mean, we'd heard that it could magnetically connect to the base, so now that's how it could connect to the wall, to both be magnetic, attaching to the wall, and powering up over MagSafe. MagSafe can do 25 watts, so that seems like it should be mostly enough for a simple display like this. But we'll have to see. So some more like trickling of information coming about on all of these kind of smart devices from Apple, but we have to wait until maybe September or October to actually get to see any of these things.
I do think that is where they can do, like what I mentioned before about how Apple will come in once everyone else has tried and do it better. And I think the smart display is definitely somewhere that Apple could make this better. It is one of the most frustrating things about using an Amazon show is the UI, and they've improved it vastly, but it tries to do too much. And for a device that's essentially a glorified light switch, you need simplicity. And Google Home, same problem. They don't try to do too much, but they don't have the simplicity down. And there's a fine line between making a device easy to use and simple and not cluttered, but also be actually functional and do what you need it to, because there's a lot that you could be able to do, but how much should you be able to do? And that's something that I feel like Apple is very good at saying, here, this is what you should be able to do, and that's all you're getting. And it's going to work.
Right. And without going into like all the rumors again, because we have said them for so long, I really think that Apple's going to be building like the same way that they're using Mac OS to show all of the widgets on your desktop from your phone. I think they're going to do that same thing on this device. It'll recognize you by face and then show you all of your widgets and pull all that information in. And widgets are interactive now. You can do all of these things through them if developers choose to. So I think it could be really easy to get essentially a ton of essentially native functionality, but it's like kind of offloading a little bit to your phone to make it happen. I think it's a really cool idea, and they could have a huge edge in making this a lot more polished than what we have out there now.
Yeah, that wouldn't be hard either. My last Nest Hub just died. They're not even that old, so I'm excited to see what they do here for sure. And just fall, I guess we'll have to wait. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm guessing it's going to get pushed again to like next spring.
No, don't. Why are you saying things? Why are you saying such things? Okay, I'm cutting you off. Let's take a break. Let's talk about our sponsors for the episode. Right before the Apple event, like I have so many things that I have to get ready to do, right? I'm packing up my stuff, I'm grabbing camera gear. And one of the things that I typically do, just so I don't have any problems when I go out to these, is clean out my computer, making sure I have like ample storage and things like that. Well, one of the things that I run is Clean My Mac by MacPaw. It is so handy. It does a million things on your computer, right? It can help you clean up. It can do smart care and install like app updates that you may have pending for apps that you haven't used in a while. There is the new the cloud cleanup. That's the word that I'm looking for, which is really handy to actually go and look at your iCloud, your Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox. And these are even to like files you don't have saved locally on your machine. It can go clear them out for you, get rid of duplicates, identify large files, all of that. So you maybe don't have to have so much cloud storage. Faith and I have like the 4 terabyte plan from Apple, and we're bouncing up against it. And I ran this on the cloud cleanup and was able to get rid of a bunch of things that I had not used in a while and got a lot of our space back. So cloud cleanup is invaluable for me. But leading up to the Apple event, I use Space Lens, which finds all of the storage on your Mac and lets you see visually where it's all going. I had like 30 gigs left, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not good. I can't go to an Apple event with 30 gigs left on my SSD. So Space Lens found a whole bunch of literally they were old HomeKit Insider episodes that I had sitting in there that I had like downloaded that were like 10 gigs or something each. I'm like, well, all of these can go away. Deleted them and got a whole bunch more space back. It's very, very handy. You also can view like the performance. There's an anti-malware engine built in. There's a little menu bar app that can give you tips and all sorts of other information. It is fantastic. So if you have not tried it, I highly recommend it. You can get Tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code SMARTHOME for 20% off at clnmy.com/smarthome. Thank you to Clean My Mac and MacPaw for sponsoring the episode. We also got to talk about Shopify, one of my favorites out there. They have a million things that I can talk about. You guys have heard me talk about them frequently on the show, but I still love it. I was just, with all my family, and I looked at someone's phone trying to figure out who it was. I picked it up. They literally had a notification for the Shop app. And I'm like, how many people know about like the Shop app? I had no idea until I like started doing the sponsorships, and I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm having businesses talk to me about it unprompted. I'm having family members send me links from Shop stuff. I'm seeing people's phones and the Shop app sending over notifications. It's so funny how this is so much bigger than I even thought it was. And this is on the consumer side, let alone on the business side. It is great for any business out there, whether you are small, large, or somewhere in between, because Shopify can grow with you. You can get a website set up in an afternoon using AI to automatically remove backgrounds, write ad copy, and help you with your marketing stuff really easily. It'll handle things that you may not know about as a starting your business. It help you with tax stuff and shipping information, all these things that you don't know about or haven't played with before. Plus, lots of ways to check out with one of the internet's best converting checkouts. You can use Shop Pay, Google Pay, Apple Pay, very seamlessly. Send that order over to the Shop app where you can track it until it gets delivered to your door, leave ratings, use their AI power in the app to find more great products to buy. It's always my secret weapon for finding gifts for people, because I find all these little unknown brands that I had never heard of that maybe don't do a bunch of marketing, but they show up in the Shop app. It is super handy. And as you get bigger, you get all these extra benefits of like custom things, build everything out completely, just what you need, add plugins that offer things like shipping protection, so that way if something gets lost along the way, it's not your problem. You can help facilitate it with them, and you can even earn money off of referrals for those things. It's amazing. It's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/homekit. Go to shopify.com/homekit. That's shopify.com/homekit. Okay, let's talk about new things. These had been rumored, but now they are official. Sonos is back to hardware with 2 new speakers. We have the Era 100 SL, and we have the Sonos Play. So high level here, and then we'll talk about them. The Sonos Era 100 SL, exactly what we thought. It's the Era 100 without the voice assistant, and it'll save you some money. So instead of $219, it's $189. So $30 less for getting rid of the microphone and the digital assistant. If you are an Apple Home user or just using Apple's assistant, you don't care about the assistant being built in, save yourself $30, get rid of the microphone on there. It's good. I like that. So good price point there. We've had the SL versions in the past, and now we're just getting a new one of the Era 100. The Play, I think, is more interesting. This is really cool, and I think hits a perfect point that Sonos had been missing. It comes in white and black, wireless charging base, so it is portable, line-in ready via USB-C to an adapter, 24-hour battery life, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, built-in AirPlay, so you can literally join this with any of your HomePods or receivers in your house. But I love that it's portable because you can take this outside into your yard. I know Jennifer and I, we both have like the Eero outdoors one that gives us like nice outdoor coverage for Wi-Fi. So I can take this anywhere in the yard, carry it with me while I'm working out there, and still have wireless audio playing via AirPlay. So I can tell Apple's assistant, hey, can you play my jams playlist on the Sonos Play? And it could do that for me. Price point $299. So for people who don't know like the lineup, I have the other 2 in my hand. We have the Roam, which is the little one. It's like roughly the size of like a water bottle, plastic water bottle. And then we have the Move, which is the big one, chunky one, much bigger here. And we have $179 for the Roam, $299 for the Play, and then $499 for the Move. So this hits that middle price point if you don't need anything as big as the Move, but you want something a little bit bigger than the Roam. And it has a nice clean design. It just looks like a smaller Sonos Move. So it looks like a kind of a dedicated speaker on your counter, but then you can pick it up and take it with you, which I love that Sonos does that. They're not designing it to look explicitly like a portable speaker, but it kind of has like the best of both worlds feel to it. These ship on March 31st, and Chris Welch over at Bloomberg did an interview with the Sonos CEO, Tom Conrad, that talks about their streaming box. So we'll come back to that in a second, but I want to get your take on these speakers. What do you think? I don't know how much you still use Sonos, but I really like the portable one.
Yeah, I'm actually in the market for both of these products. I have had Sonos since the original Play ones. Was that the first, or was there one before?
I think so.
Yeah. And my husband is a huge fan of speakers and music, more so than me, and he does not a fan of my smart speakers. And so yeah, we have an Arc and a bass the subwoofer thing, and then two really old Play ones that still work with that system, which is something I really like. The fact that, I mean, these I bought over 10 years ago, I think now. I don't know. It's a long time. And they were expensive at the time. But they're getting a little long in the tooth. And so the new $189 ones would be perfect. I would have no need for them to have a microphone because I've got the Arc already. And I haven't tried. I should probably try Sonos's voice assistant. I haven't yet. I kind of wanted to try it out with the Philips Hue stuff because that was something that they recently launched, that integration. Have you used that at all?
No, nope. I've had no need to.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I think the Eras, like I'm ready to replace my old Plays with the Eras. I think it would help with the surround sound. I've always struggled, and this could be my network, but with connectivity with the Sonos system. I've spent a lot of time sort of resetting or troubleshooting my network, although I did finally get it and it's working perfectly now. So I'm slightly reluctant to switch things out, but I like the idea of the upgrade here. But I'm really excited about the Sonos Play portable speaker, because yes, that price point is excellent. I've been looking for something like this for my husband because he spends a lot of time outside, and the Move's a really expensive one, isn't it?
Yeah, $499.
I was like, that's just too much. I have had a portable Bose speaker, which I really like, and that's what we use right now. And it has a handle, and it's a cute little guy, and it has you can use the Amazon Assistant with it, and it has AirPlay 2. It is older now. You can still buy it. So it's more expensive. It's $350. But what I don't like about the Bose, and what I love about this Play, the Bose you have to plug in to charge, whereas the Play, I love the idea, and this is what I was appealed about the other ones, of just being able to put it on the charger, because we would constantly go to take the Bose outside and it was dead because someone had to put it down but not plugged it in. So that feature for me is like, yes, that sells me on it. I'm definitely looking to get. It might be a Christmas present, but that is on my list for sure. I think it's great. Good. Yeah. It's a perfect size, because the other one was too small for my needs, and then the other one was too big. Mm-hmm. It's right in the middle. It's the Goldilocks speaking.
Absolutely. Well, I want to keep pushing through because I want to talk about some of these things here at the end, but I do want to mention this little bit from Chris's interview with Tom Conrad, where Tom Conrad had officially kind of recognized the canceled streaming box, the thing that I was excited for, that we talked on the podcast about. So Tom had said that there was a date on the calendar for the release, but there wasn't a plan for enough staffing to get it done. Even if Sonos had stuck to the original goal, Pinewood wouldn't be out now. And then he followed up with, whatever you think about that, good idea, bad idea, we just didn't have enough software resources to execute it well. And I mean, first off, respect it. Like, it is always good to see that recognition of, like, not just releasing something because you sunk a bunch of money into it and it's not like that product that it should be. There's always been a lot of attention to detail on Sonos, and one of the things that I praise them about the most on a company that's not Apple. So I'm glad that they were like, hey, we aren't going to be able to get this to the quality level we need. And doing a streaming box is completely different than anything else they've done. I mean, you got interfaces and all in deal negotiations, all sorts of stuff to make that happen. It is a lot. So I am disappointed that this never is going to get released, but I am, it's a bit of a bitter pill, but maybe that's the better choice here. But I think it just would have pushed Apple to innovate more on the Apple TV, and I want to see that.
Yeah, I know. I was excited for this too, because as I said, I have the whole setup, and I do struggle a bit with, I have a Frame TV and an Apple TV and the Sonos system, and the three don't work that well together. And so especially, I'm not one for ecosystem lock-in, but when it comes to TV surround sound systems, like going with all one brand does make life a lot easier. And so I was excited to see if this was going to be a good solution for me. But I mean, everything works today. It's just not as easy or seamless as I'd like it to be. But this would have been horribly expensive, I know. So I'm not sure.
Right.
I think I saved myself a lot of money by them canning it. But yeah, well, it's a shame. But I think especially in today's smart home space, they need to focus on what they're really good at and do well there, and not try and be doing things that others are already doing better. So yeah, it's probably the right call.
Yeah, sadly. Well, I told you before we started recording that I made a big mistake in my smart home.
Yes,
and
I'm excited to hear about this.
I am not excited about it. Okay.
You didn't change your Wi-Fi router and change your password or something, did you?
No, I'm not. I'm not a newbie. That password is staying forever. Okay, so I was working on some content and I wanted to do the handoff experience of, like the U1 chip, right? Because we don't have the ultra wideband on the new iPhone 17e. So I wanted to be able to demo that on like the 17 and show that it didn't have it on the 17e. And I'm sitting here in the Zoom like, oh man, I just had gotten rid of one of my HomePod minis because I didn't need it down here, and like just clearing out some old hardware as we're getting all this new stuff in, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I have my full-size HomePod that is sitting here. I haven't plugged it in like a hot second. I'll just plug that in. It does have the ultra wideband, and I can demo that here in the studio of doing the handoff thing. I plugged it in, and it was running some pretty old software, like iOS 18.2 maybe. So not forever old, but old enough. Well, it was apparently old enough to cause me some major problems, as I found out the next day. Somehow, this had caused my home to revert to where it was when that speaker was alive. So all of my, I no longer have Harrison's room. I have baby room, and I have the guest room, which is now Ellie's room. Oh yeah.
That should not happen. That's not your fault. That's something on Apple's side. That is not something that should, wow.
I never could have foreseen this.
Was there a solution? Could you fix it? Not really.
No, the solution is me redoing it. And I've avoided this, right? Because it's been a big week. We have new hardware. We had the family things going on. So my mental, I've also been working late trying to write a speech for my grandma's thing and working late on the Apple stuff. So I've gotten a couple hours of sleep for the last several nights, not enough for brain to work right.
No.
So I literally open the Home app. I have no idea where devices are. Where's this Eve light? Is this still in the home? Because it was added after this thing went up, and then I got to update this to 26 and it's not updating correctly right now. Right now it's showing me that I have an update for iOS 26.3 for my HomePod, but it's also running already 26.3. So it's telling me I have an update for iOS 18 or HomePod OS 18.6, I think. But it's also running iOS 26 already. So it's telling me I have a pending update for old software, and none of it makes any sense.
So if you left it without messing with it, do you think it would eventually come back?
I don't know.
Because
why did this one decide to be the main thing in the house? I've got 4 Apple TVs. I've got multiple other 4 or 5 other HomePods. I don't know. So I did not have a backup.
It became your main home hub when you plugged it in. Is that what happened?
Maybe, perhaps.
You didn't see.
I don't know.
Okay. Because that's interesting. Why? Because do you do automatic selection for your Apple Home Hub, or do you manually select?
I think so. I can't remember. I usually left it as my Apple TV in the living room because that was the latest Apple TV 4K thread, all that kind of stuff. And it's also more central in the house. So I believe that one was what I had as my primary device. But because it always sort of baffles me how it chooses. And at one point I went in, I was having some trouble with some
pairing, which is the story of my life, of devices. And I was like, let me go see. And it had chosen, I had it on automatic selection. So in the Apple Home app, you can go to Home Hubs and you can toggle on or toggle off automatic selection. I think that's the phrasing. And it had chosen a HomePod Mini in the furthest bottom corner of the house rather than the Apple TV that's hardwired in the middle of the house. I was like, smart home. So I went in and I forced it. I turned off automatic selection. I chose the Apple TV. Then I turned automatic selection back on and it kept the Apple TV. So I was like, validate my choices here. But I was like, why? Why does it do this? And you may be right about the software updates, because I think at that point I was running betas. I don't always run betas. I kind of go back and forth because betas can really screw with your smart home. And I think at that point maybe it had somehow that one had updated first. So it was like, oh, this is the newer one. I don't know. Apple does not tell us how it makes these decisions. But it's baffling to me that your home would have chosen to use a HomePod as its main home hub that was on a much earlier system, unless what was happening is it had to, in order to add this one to your home, everything else had to come down to its level. But yeah, Apple has no backups, but have you used some of there are some like third-party systems you can use.
Oh yeah, I've used them. I've said you all should do that. Did I do it recently enough?
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew.
This is a point where I should practice what I preach. And
yeah, it's a shame there's not an automatic setting there. I had a similar experience. This was a while ago, and I can't remember what triggered it, but it led me to write a whole article about how to reset your Apple Home, because it is painful when it all goes away. And I had that once. You just open the app and it's just nothing there. It was like it was gone. This was 5 years ago now. I can't remember exactly what had happened, but I did actually reach out to Apple and they did help me with that. I think there had been some major bug that had happened. But yeah, it's fun sometimes though to start from scratch.
Yeah, I think at a minimum, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to figure everything out, get rid of things. And here's our last transition. I want to round this out here with something that I was experiencing before this whole shenanigans happened. And it gave me this kind of question of what do people do with like temporary items? Like, what do you do with heaters that you maybe use in the winter and then you're going into the spring and summer? Or you maybe have Christmas tree lights. Like there's the Hue Festiva ones. There's ones from LifeX and a bunch of other companies that you may have on like a Christmas tree or something. Maybe you have outdoor lights for whatever, if there's a certain season, but like they're on like your bushes and you take them down at the end of the year. Or even just smart plugs that you plug into inflatables in your yard and, you put those away. What do you do with all of those devices in the Home app? So like maybe like I don't want to necessarily leave it plugged in for 9 months until you get back into seasonality. I don't know, because I'm curious, because if you leave them in there, right, they're going to show as just unresponsive. So do you go in and remove them from all of your routines? For me, we, when you leave the house, turn off any space heater that may still be on. And then, good night scene is going to turn off like the Christmas tree lights inside. Like there's all sorts of different ones. So there's automations and scenes as well as just the unresponsiveness in general if you kind of unplug them. And I don't know what people do here. So I'm curious at what your thoughts were on this, what you do if you have any devices like that. Because to me, it's annoying seeing like you've got this many devices not responding right now.
So, like I guess I won't show you my entire screen, but I don't know if you can see this, but my phone has lots of red dots. I got 486 unread messages and 101 unread voicemails.
Fun fact, those are all my messages to Jen to get back on the podcast. For everyone out there wondering, there's like a Slack group for like smart home stuff, and she was in there throwing me shade. Oh, Andrew doesn't invite me on the podcast that much, and I'm like, I literally messaged you like this morning or yesterday, and you had not responded.
Someone was asking for me to be on the podcast. And I was
they were. I'm like, I literally messaged you.
So I do read my messages. I just don't do anything about the badge. So I am not someone that gets, the point of this is I'm not someone that gets upset about unresponsive or badges. And so it's showing you my Apple Home. I don't know if you can see it, but I have 80 issues in my home. So these are everything. This is everything that's offline. Sorry, it's very bright. Now it says 78 issues. So something must have happened in the last couple of minutes. But yeah, there's a lot of issues. There you can see a little better. These are all unresponsive. But to your point, the reason I'm not too bothered about them, the ones that I use regularly, is because I set up my rooms to account for this. So I have like seasonal spaces. So I have a Christmas light room. So all of the lights that have anything to do with Christmas go in that room. And I don't add them to my existing scenes because I do hate having a scene that says failed just because one thing isn't connected, and Siri gets really chatty about it and annoying. So I don't like having disconnected devices in the scenes that I use on a regular basis. So I compartmentalize my home based on the seasons. So I have a Christmas tree room or a Christmas room that has all of my Christmas devices. And right now those are obviously all showing offline because they're all unplugged. And then I also have I have a default room where I just put things that have up, because I'm testing things a lot all the time. So right now, like I have a Hue bulb that I took out that I use regularly, and I put a different bulb in to test it. So that's now gone offline. And so what I will just do is move it to the default room so that I can bring it back, because there's nothing more irritating than, like, I don't ever like to delete things from my home. I'd rather move them somewhere so I don't see them and so that I can bring them back, because it's so much easier to just plug it back in rather than have to onboard it all over again. So yeah, that's the main way I manage that. I don't, so I have the default room for things that are disconnected, and then I know where they are to go put them back. And then I have seasonal room, mainly the Christmas for seasonal. I live in the South. We don't really have many other seasons. So I've never used a space heater. Fans are another thing. So I do have a lot of fans, but I use them in the winter because I use them to circulate heat. So it's not, I don't take them away in the winter. The one major annoyance I have with the smart home in seasons, which isn't directly related to this, but is being able to, so smart thermostats suck at dealing with season changes, even if they have seasonal settings. So 2 or 3 days ago, so we're in the major temperature swing of the South. So last weekend it was 84 degrees, and tomorrow it's going to go down to 30. So we have frequent 50 degree swings from morning to afternoon, and it really confuses my thermostats. And so often, when I have it on the mode where it can switch between heat and cool automatically, it will sometimes heat to the cool temperature. So the lowest cool I have would be 80. So if we're out of the house, you can get up to 80 to save energy. And I'll come home and it will be heating to 80. And it gets so confused. So at this time of year, my solution for smart thermostats is turn those suckers off. They do not deal well with seasons. And I don't want to be using energy right now when it's really, when it gets down to 30, I'll just put on a sweater. And when it gets up to 80, I'll open the windows. It's, the 100 degrees is when I need the AC. And I grew up in England where we didn't have AC. And if you turned on the heat, it cost you a fortune. So not that that's not true here either now. But yeah, I just get extra blankets. It is a flaw in smart thermostats. And I'm actually about to start a big test of lots of smart thermostats because there's a couple interesting new ones coming out shortly, and I'm really going to be looking to see if anyone has solved this issue properly, because it's a tricky one, and it can end up costing, if you didn't notice it and you come home and it's blasting heat and sometimes using aux heat, which is really expensive. It's going to cost you money. So that's just not a good look, smart thermostats. And yes, I'm talking about the Nest right now. That's the one I'm currently testing.
Well, at least you have kind of a solution for it. But those shouldn't be, I feel like, the solution. Like, you shouldn't, because I want to be able to include those things in my regular scenes that I use, like a good night scene or something. And the same thing for the rooms, because like the Christmas trees in our living room, and like if I go out, I'm like, turn off the living room lights, and it should include the tree. I shouldn't have to run. I mean, at least until they add the ability to say the word "and" in a Apple Assistant command, so I could maybe say turn off the living room lights and the Christmas tree. That would maybe be acceptable, but it's just weird. And I think Apple needs to add like some sort of like as just like profiles, like loading up like maybe your holiday profile that unarchives a bunch of devices. Like maybe when they're not in use, they're archived, so they don't show when you're unresponding. They don't alert you if they don't respond in scenes, and then you can easily and they'll hide them in the rooms. But then when you load up a profile again, it shows all those devices, something like that. And I don't know if that is on Apple Home side or on the Matter side. Like, does that have to be part of like the Matter spec to make these things happen? Because I could see it working out just in the ecosystem, but I wish someone would do something about it, because I think it's a problem.
I do think, and I meant to mention this when we were talking about the Amazon A Assistant. One really good thing about that, and now Google Assistant, is the ability to use natural language to control your home. And that does work mostly. And that is something that hopefully we assume Siri is going to have. And at that point, you will actually theoretically not need scenes. You can just be like, turn the lights off in the room in here, or turn off this room, and it'll know where you are and it will do it. And
it does that already.
Right. But like you said, and portion. So you could connect. But my point being is you wouldn't necessarily need to have a Christmas tree. I wouldn't need to have a Christmas tree, a separate Christmas light section, because I could just say it would know exactly what was in the room without me having to have set up a scene, or not necessarily just the room, but say the room. The problem I have with turn the lights off in here is I have everything in the living room, but I also have a hallway that's connected to the living room, but the lights are in a different one there, but I want those to turn off as well. So that type of natural language processing of smart home commands will make it easier to control things. I don't know exactly how much it will help with devices you've unplugged, but I mean, not needing to use scenes, so then you won't necessarily end up with the failures. I think you can find, like, especially for newbie smart home owners who aren't necessarily going to go through the process of setting up a scene, you should be able to just be like, oh, turn off this lamp and then the one in the corner here, rather than having to set up your special scene for, I just want those two lights to turn off. So that's a future, I think, that might start to solve some of these issues. But I definitely agree with you. It's a problem right now, and there isn't a straightforward solution for it.
Well, hopefully eventually. It's got to be getting close to a new Matter update, right? We're getting close to when those usually drop. Maybe we'll get some fun news. I don't know. Haven't heard anything lately.
Like things have kind of really slowed down on the Matter front. I don't know how you feel about that. The momentum seems
waiting on those cameras.
Stalled, and there's not a lot. I haven't heard a lot of chatter about cameras other than from the usual suspects that we knew that had already said they were coming. So it is a bit of a worry. I think the adoption of new Matter devices in new categories has been significantly lower than I think anyone expected. Like, there's more smart bulbs and smart locks that you can throw a freaking cat at, but if you want anything outside of those kind of core devices that they started with, it's still pretty low. Except for, obviously, now we're getting ceiling fans, so maybe there's some hope. It could just be the long cycle of a lot of these manufacturers. It just takes them a really long time to bring out an entirely new product with an entirely new connectivity layer. So, that long game that they kept saying was Matter's long game. We're
And
still
we have to
waiting
wait for ecosystems. We got to wait for Apple to confirm anything. And I think it might be, again, tied to their smart display before they support cameras. So maybe it's all going together. Maybe the answer is once more in the fall, but we will see soon enough. Jen,
Yes.
we've been talking for about an hour here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Anything you want to leave us with? Where do you want to point people?
Head to theverge.com / Jennifer Pattison Tuohy if you want to read. I think it's /authors / Jennifer Pattison Tuohy if you want to read all of my stuff. And we have a neat follow feature on our website where you can just read my stuff and you don't have to worry about all the boring computers and phones and things if you're not interested in those and you just want the smart home stuff. And I just published a big piece on local storage for video doorbells if you're looking to move away from the cloud. And I added a bit about HomeKit secure video doorbells in there and the terrible lack of options in that space, which hopefully will change with Matter. So go check that out if you're looking for doorbells, video doorbells. And or I would not wait for Apple's, because that's going to be a while. And yeah, you can follow me on Threads at Smart Home Mama and the other socials as well. If you'd like to keep up with what I'm doing or come and chat with me, I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you again, everybody out there. You guys know what to do. Leave a 5, 10, 100-star rating on your podcast player of choice. It would really help us out with the new name and the new push. You can also let me know if you have any questions. You can email me at andrew@appleinsider.com. You can find me on Twitter and the other socials, usually Andrew_OSU, or you can leave a comment on the video version of this over at youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Otherwise, we'll see everybody next week.